Hi, everybody. It's another episode of Tea Time. I'm T. This is my friend Tabari.
Tabari.
It's apparently a thing now.
Yes.
All right. So, in this episode, I want to talk a little bit about friendship and life. Because Tabari is maybe not the friendliest person I've ever met, but he collects people like they're going out of style. Like, I've never known somebody who has known so many people in such a short amount of time.
When you describe it like that, now I'm like really thinking, is everyone going out of style? And I just need new people?
Well, who knows? I don't know the process of people in their out of style goingness. Anyway, talk us through, how do you approach making friends in college?
Ooh, tricky question. Honestly, I have no clue. I talk to people. That's literally all I do. I'm so awkward that I think I'm so awkward that I just see? Don't know what I'm even saying there. My teacher, my public speaking teacher, fun fact, you know him.
I do know him.
He told me that when I'm giving my speeches,
You're just shaking the camera. It's okay.
When I'm giving my speeches, I make the crowd laugh because I'm just being so genuine when I'm nervous. I'm being genuine and nervous at the same time. Mm-hmm. So when people see me being vulnerable or genuine, then they're like, oh, I can kick it with this guy, I think. But also I make it known that I'm here. It's very hard for you to not notice me when I want to be noticed. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I like the attention from others. So I try as hard as I can to get that attention, no matter what it takes.
Okay. What does friendship mean to you?
Friendship means to me what?
Maybe I should have answered the first question.
You probably should have, because I was a little off track. Hey, Taryn. What is it? How do you do friendships for college life?
Okay. I'm not going to do all of my college life, because when I was in undergrad, it was the most random thing. It was just like, you meet somebody in a dorm or in a grassy field or in a class, and it would just be like, do you want to throw a ball? Or like, are you hungry? Like, you just say the most random things, and then you would now have a friend.
Society has changed.
Yeah, I guess so. And then Chicago, you just are stuck kind of with the same people anyway, and then you just pick the ones that you actually want, tolerate, and enjoy. Some you tolerate, some you enjoy. Anyway,
people are watching this video.
Highly doubtful, and that's why I tolerated them. Anyway. Mm-hmm. This degree was different because, like I said, I did start it remote. So I did make connections with two people in particular, but I had never seen this, like anything below what y'all are seeing on our bodies, on their body. Like, it was just so odd to have such a state, like a feeling of kinship and connection with these people, but have no real link to their actual physical lives. So when I moved here, by the grace of God, people were really wanting to connect with me and wanting to be in space with me. So they would like invite me to lunch or invite me to coffee and all this other stuff. Another way that I made friends here was just doing theater and art and as many creative things as I could do, because we live in the bottom. You just gotta keep I just tried to join as many creative endeavors as I could, and then I tried to make friends with people in every single one of those endeavors. It didn't always stick, but then I found my community. So yeah. So now what is friendship, and what does that all mean to you?
See, if I'm being honest, I have no clue what friendship is. I call a lot of people my friend, but ever so slightly, I start to realize that that's not a friend. You know what I mean? They're an associate. My mother made me realize that when she had said the same thing, like, you know too many people, or you know these people, but you speak to them not at all. Like, for instance, one time, funny story, in high school, I think I'm like a freshman in high school, And we drive through the neighborhood of the elementary school I went to. And I'm like, oh my God, that's my friend Kayla from elementary. Tell me why my father decides to stop the truck and roll down the window. So now I have to speak to the girl that I knew. I'm like, I knew her, but that doesn't mean I want to speak to her. I just wanted to point out that I knew that person, and we went to elementary school together. And I was like, oh, now I have to have a conversation with you. So, we definitely did not continue being friends after elementary school. So, that was an associate, a step in the direction of greatness later on. Because there are people from elementary school that I still talk to. Those are clearly friends. So, if I have to actually give you an answer, which I'm pretty sure I do, friendship to me means sticking together no matter what and loving unconditionally without being married.
You can't be friends and be married.
I don't know.
Okay.
Can you?
I would think so.
I feel like you can.
I think so.
Just without the marriage part. That tie.
Okay.
The knot. Tie the knot.
Alrighty.
If you like it, then you should.
I'm gonna go ahead and answer that.
Oh, hey. I have a question, Taryn.
What's that?
What does friendship mean to you?
Oh, great question, Tabari. I'd love to answer it.
Go ahead.
Anyway, let's see. What does friendship mean to me? I've had a really complicated relationship with friendship in my life. Like, I could make not only a whole episode, but like a whole series on friendship.
That's good.
Because I grew up with some very close childhood best friends. And we met when I was like 2 years old, somewhere in there.
Got you.
And so what it meant for me was that all of my relationships kind of got compared to that level of friendship and that level of like continuity in my life. And I'm a best friend person. I've grown hopefully a little bit now, but that's what I do. It's like I'll just be going through life and I'll have friends and I'll have people, but like there'll just be a person and they'll be my best friend, and like I spend a whole bunch of time with them. Yeah. I'm trying to know all their like darknesses and their light, and I want them to know my darkness and my light, and it's just, and sometimes it's gotten codependent and very unhealthy. Sometimes it's gotten competitive or aggressive. Because for me, for a very long time, my definition of friendship sounded very similar to yours, but like it in a more extreme way, where I felt like if we're not consistently in each other's lives, then are we actually friends? Like, because for me, connection and communication are so important, and consistency are so important, that I'm like, if we don't talk, then we don't really have a friendship. Because I just remembered going through like some of the darkest times in my life, and the friends that don't like pick up the phone to call you, or pick up the phone to like answer when you call them, they're not there during that time, or they're going through dark stuff in their life and they don't have, the wherewithal to call you and be like, yo, I'm going through something. So you don't know. Yeah. And so y'all are just giving each other life updates as opposed to going through life with each other. Like, that's what friendship is to me, is even if you don't live in the same place, even if like life is complicated because y'all are in relationships or y'all are in school or whatever you're doing or working, that you're still somehow managing to do life together. As I've gotten older, people have shown me that model of friendship is not a popular one. Mm-hmm. And I've had to kind of learn how not to be so heavy-handed and tight-fisted when it comes to relationships, and loving people with how they show up. While also still kind of being like, okay, that don't work for me. Yeah. You know what I mean?
More, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think I answered the question. Let me think. What is friendship for me? Friendship for me, I did say it's doing life together.
Yeah.
But I guess...
You had an answer.
Yeah.
You had an answer.
I think it's doing life together. That's my ideal of friendship. Does it always look like that? No. But, go ahead.
I have an example of why it doesn't always look like that.
Do it.
So... in your explanation of what friendship means to you, you mentioned talking all the time.
Not consistently.
Consistently.
Yes.
Well, me and my best friend, we do not talk consistently at all. It's horrible. she's living her life in Houston and I'm living my life in Louisiana. Completely different.
Yeah.
She goes to school a couple minutes from her. I go to a school, I'm on the campus, and I'm 4 hours away from home. So it's completely different, and we both have lives. We know we have lives. However, we know what we have been through together, and we've already established that we are the best friends that are going to last a long time.
Yeah.
So since we have that understanding, we don't fear that our friendship will end.
Yeah.
We understand that our friendship will continue for as long as we may never know. And literally, we always catch up no matter what. As soon as I go back home, I always go to her first. Even if I don't talk to her for that entire 2 months, as soon as I go back home for like a little break or something, I'm always with her because it's like we know where we left off. We're going to continue where we left off. And then also, the reason why I think of us as best friends, I compare it to my mom and her best friend. They don't talk all the time at all. Like, it's so inconsistent left and right. But as soon as they're together, it's like they never lost anything.
Right.
And I just like how me and Carolina have that same thing. So it's like, I know Carolina is the only person that I can't talk to all the time or consistently, and it would still be great when we get back. Other people, you're like, are you my friend, or are you just using me to fulfill your loneliness?
That one's strong. No, but I do think everyone does it differently, and some people do friendship a lot differently. And it's taken me time to grow up and see more of life, to see that everyone doesn't have the same. Friendship used to be one of my highest life priorities. It is what it was a difference in. So I always felt like I was really good at balancing. Like, I knew how to be a person, a student, a family member, and a friend. And I think some people just struggle with that balance. But you know what is crazy? I have some friends, it is like that. And I don't know how they get classified in my head for me, but like, I have best friends that I'm like, are we gonna speak, or what's going on? And it's like this object impermanence thing. Like, if I don't talk to you, I'm kind of like, we're probably not friends. But then I have other ones that it's like I never really expected that much from them to begin with. And so we just, when we see each other. Like, I have an at-home best friend. I do not ever speak to her unless I'm at home. But I don't know. I just think it's interesting because for me, when I graduated college, I went through this season of like depression and isolation and anxiety, and I wasn't like, none of my friends were really talking to me, and I really wasn't talking to them and stuff like that. And then I ended up talking to one a couple months later when I was kind of coming out of mine. And I was talking to her, and she had graduated a little bit after me, a couple months after me. And she was like, yeah, well, I had graduated and I was depressed and I just felt alone, and it just felt like da-da-da-da. And it just was so upsetting to me because I'm like, well, that's what we're for. If we sit in our own individual corners and go through the worst of life and the best of life by ourselves, then what function are we fulfilling? And maybe that's just me. But I don't like that.
I agree. I definitely agree with you. However, this random, very random. I saw a TikTok.
Okay.
And it was about a guy who committed suicide. He had a kid, a dog, a wife, and they were living happily ever after. Yeah. And he told his wife that he was depressed. And she was like, okay, we're going to try to fix this. We're going to try to be together. We're going to try to fulfill what you're missing. And even through all of those moments that they had together, so many moments, like you can see all the pictures and stuff, he still ended his life. And it's like, what is the real thing that is missing? Because it can't always be just someone or something.
I agree. And I don't think that, I will say that in my past, I have used friends and friendship to like fill certain spots and fill certain pieces of myself. I also don't think that, by the time I got to college, I didn't do it in the same codependent, unhealthy way. Like, I had a friend in college who, she like hit you up and be like, hey, you want to hang out? And I'd show up and there'd be like 7 other people there. And you're like, what's happening?
Oh, okay.
And she just, and this may seem judgmental, but to me it felt like she could never be alone. Like she never knew how to be by herself. Like I always get a little, for me, I'm wary about being friends with people who can never be by themselves, because like to me it looks like your friendship is just because it's not, it has nothing to do with me. You're not friends with me because I'm special as a person or you enjoy me as a person. You're friends with me because in the same way that you are friends with everyone else. Like it's shallow to me, it feels like sometimes. So I get certain like anxieties where I'm like, we gonna see. And that's where I am with friendship in general now. Is I'm kind of like, we gonna see how this all goes. But yeah, I've tried to get better at I've had a lot of cutting people off in my life and a lot of people cutting me off in life, and I've tried to get better with letting things have some nuance to them and being like, just because we haven't talked doesn't mean we're not friends.
Have you said that about me anytime?
Just because we haven't talked doesn't mean we're not friends. No, but I have thought like you do have a lot of like people, and so it is hard to know with you how deep a friendship actually is because you treat everyone the same.
Yeah, I'm working on that one. I really am. I thought about it today, actually. I had 3 meals today, which has never happened before in my life, ever. I'm just kidding, it has happened. But after 2 months, it hasn't happened. But today I had 3 meals. And each time I went to those meals alone. But every time I ran into someone else. So we ended up eating together. So I'm like, did I want to be alone or was I searching for someone? But I don't know what that had to do with anything actually.
I think it was like something that came up when I was like, where are your friendships being born out of? Yeah. Is it out of a need or is it out of a want? And don't get me wrong, like I've definitely, because I'm an ambivert where I like being with people and I also really like being by myself, and I have to balance those. But that's what I would say, is that you never really know with you, but that's okay. Like I enjoy you as a person, so it's
okay. Here's my explanation. As you know, I'm the only child. If you guys didn't know, I'm the only child. So coming to college, I wanted to do the opposite of everything I've ever done, like literally the complete opposite of everything, and I did. Meaning, I was not the only child anymore. I wanted to have a family, so I did find my family. Some of those family members are no longer a part of this family, but you were someone in the family. So I would say I wouldn't call our friendship a friendship. I'll call it a family ship. That's where we are. Because even my mother, father, the only two, because only child, I do not speak to them at all. Like I barely talk to them. And I know you talk to your mother every day.
All the time.
So like I that's just how I function.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it is, but I promise you, you're not just everyone.
No, and it's like fine. It just, for me, I think I have friendship. I just get friendship anxieties in general, just because anytime something has gone left, it usually goes left out of nowhere. And doubling back a little bit outside of the conversation we're currently having, I've had certain friendships where I'm the only one maintaining it and where my investment in the friendship is like a lot stronger than the other person. So I'll go through this thing where I'll be like, feels like I'm the only one kind of maintaining this thing. And then I'll let that thought go and I'll keep, calling and checking in and everything. And then I'll have the thought again. And once I have the thought about 2 or 3 times, I'm like, okay, what would happen if I stop? What would happen if I stopped being the one to initiate? And so many of my friendships have dissolved and disappeared and dissipated because I was the only one holding it. So that's why I'm kind of like in a we'll see, because you just never know. Like things start out really strong or start out looking one way, and then you get to a point where you're like, oh, you weren't in this like I was in this.
I did this experiment thing twice. Once in high school, once coming to college. So I just stopped talking to everyone. Just everyone. Even the relationship I was in, I just stopped talking to that person because I was going to college. I wanted to just erase the past and just go be in the future. Oh gosh.
What?
You don't seem happy.
That would stress me out.
I know. But look, the only reason I did it is because I really, in high school, I was the one that initiated every single thing. And I hated that feeling because I always felt left out. I always ended up being left out, if we're being honest. Like, even my friend group that I'm in right now in Houston.
You are shaking the camera.
Oh my God. Our little friendship group in Houston, I wasn't even a part of that friend group. They did not care for me at all. It was like, oh yeah, we almost didn't even put you on this shirt that I have. You know, that seniors shirt?
Mm-hmm.
That almost wasn't even, I was the last, like, oh, we can also give it to Tabari, which is so crazy because I thought those were the people that were going to be like, with me. And it was like, oh, that's what it was the whole time. So I go to college and I'm like, okay, forget it. I'm done. I'm just start fresh. And a lot of people ended up getting unfollowed. And I was like, that's probably exactly what I needed. So I have switched that. I wanted to be the one to receive everything because I was so not receiving of anything.
I feel that.
When I was younger. Now that I'm older, I'm like, no, you're gonna have to prove it to me. So we're both trying to get.
we're both like over givers who are also like really interested in receiving.
Yes.
And
that's really what it is. That was that experiment hurt me like crazy, I tell you that much. Oh, it was crazy. But then there were those people who definitely did reach out multiple times. Like my best friend. Then we stopped talking for like the rest of the year. Then we came back stronger than ever. It was great.
Nice.
Yeah. And also, Taryn, I can never leave you. We're like glued for life. You remember that one time we had that conversation? Well, we didn't have a conversation. I said, this is going to be a time commitment. You remember that?
I do remember that. I said that. Yes.
I'm in this.
That was not just about our relationship.
I know, but I'm saying there's no way I can just.
No, I feel you. And I appreciate that. I honor that. But yeah. Okay, so we're at the part now of this where we need to say like the moral of the story or the lesson or whatever. Because I said 22 minutes.
The moral is whatever friendships that you hold dear, whatever friendship means to you, it's true. Friendship is whatever you make it. So go out there being you, doing what you do, doing whatever experiments you want to do. And just remember those people who do try to keep the friendship alive.
Okay. Mine would be that like relationships are a two-way street. And if it's feeling like a one-way from one direction or the other, then someone's got to shake. Mm-hmm. And that's how that will finish. Y'all have a great one.
Y'all, bye.
Bye.
Y'all.